Ciao a tutti e buongiorno, sono Gaia Forlino e bentornati sul nostro canale YouTube. Oggi voglio condividere con voi un'esperienza incredibile che ho fatto con Paul nella sua food forest di 8 anni in Nuova Zelanda. Se vi piacciono i nostri video potete iscrivervi e anche lasciare dei commenti perché vi risponderemo più presto. Buona visione!
Now, my favorite part, the food forest. Let's go! And now is the chicken coming.
So we have about 30 chickens, and we keep them because of obviously eggs, but also manure, because manure is a very important part of permaculture and making compost. So we need the chicken manure to include in the compost for bringing in nitrogen.
So do you have specific races of chicken that are better to do manure or just local?
Just like everything in permaculture, we have we're looking for maximum diversity. So we have all kinds of chickens. Most of these chickens have come from chickens we've grown ourselves or bred ourselves, and also from people who have given us chickens and stuff like that. So we have one rooster, and he's doing a good job making new chickens. Okay, this is a chicken. You want to pat him? Want to pet the chicken?
The dog, I think, is interesting.
No.
No, he doesn't want to. Have you ever seen how to make a chicken go to sleep?
No.
Never? You want to see?
Yeah.
Okay, so carefully, without hurting the chicken. Oi, 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 oi. Max, go away. So we put the chicken's head under the wing, like this. And then, do some chicken, whoop, have to stay under there, mate. Under like that. And give it some chicken magic.
He's asleep.
Now he's asleep.
Wow. Oh.
See his breathing?
Yeah. And he's also relaxed.
So put him back in there and have a nice sleep, chicken.
So cool.
Lay some more eggs. There he's sleeping, see? Can you see? Sound asleep. And he's laid one egg. Want me to wake her up? Okay, girl. Wake up. Wonder what she's thinking. I had an amazing dream.
Yeah. How do you collect the manure?
Oh, that's in here, see?
Yeah, so you just clean it.
Yep.
And then you put there to give nutriment and fertilize, like the compost.
Yes.
And then you use it in the garden.
That's right. Yep. So we're regularly cleaning out the chicken house, replacing the straw for them to nest in, and then in the night time they come into this little house, and maybe we can see them. I don't know. They come in here and they roost on here, so they sleep up here.
Yeah.
And then all the manure comes down there, and we could just clean it out and put it into the compost, replace the straw. It looks unkempt, but it's supposed to. It's exactly as it's supposed to look. Yeah? It doesn't. Permaculture gardens never look tidy. They never look neat. They're always wild and natural. Yeah, that's how it should be. So this strip of land here is our food forest. So we started to make it about 8 years ago. So 8 years ago, this strip of land here was the same as that.
Wow.
Just bare land, no trees, just grass. So we started to plant fruit trees in here, and the idea is that we're creating a forest of productive fruit trees. The idea would be to get a seasonal fruit crop all year round. So we have different kinds of fruit that come in different seasons. So at the moment we have stone fruit available. So plums and peaches and that sort of thing, apricots. They're starting to produce a lot of fruit. There's figs here and berries and apples and peaches, nectarines, plums, apricots. We also have nuts like macadamia nuts and hazelnuts. So we actually let the grass grow up, and we come through a couple of times every year to mow it down and leave it on the surface. And the reason for that is that, as I said, we have a lot of rain. We have about 2 meters of rain, and when that rain travels down through the soil, it leaches the nutrition. So it takes it down to the lower levels of the soil profile, and that makes it out of reach of the fruit trees, which have a kind of a broad, flat root system. The weeds, or the grasses and the dock and the lucerne and that sort of plants have a deeper root system, and they can drive down through the soil to the lower levels of the soil profile, access that leached nutrition and bring it back to the surface in their leaves. And when we come through and cut it and leave it on top of the ground, it rots away and returns that nutrition to the surface where it's accessible by the fruit trees. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's a way of naturally cycling the nutrition around with a bit of help from a weed whacker. My children like these two there. It's only small, but help yourself. They're quite sweet. Want to try?
One to the cameraman, one to me, one to my mom. The chicken are free to run around the food forest.
We regularly move this chicken area along. So yeah, we'll move them down further, and then they're cleaning up. See how they're cleaning up around under the trees, and they're also fertilizing. So it's a means of naturally doing what we do with the weed whacker. So the chickens eat the grass, they poop, they scratch around, they eat the insects. So it's a way of naturally maintaining this food forest. So eventually we'd like to have, when the trees grow up higher, we'll bring the sheep in here, and the sheep will eat the grass. But at the moment the trees are too small, and the sheep eat the trees, so yeah, they're not ready yet. But when they grow up higher, we'll be able to manage the food forest with sheep and chickens. Here's some more berries, help yourself. There's apples coming on. More apples. Also trying to establish legumes in the understory of the food forest, and that's legumes are like this. This is lucerne, and you've got clover plants, and even these trees is tagasaste, which is a lucerne tree, and this one's acacia. These legume trees are able to take nitrogen from the air and bring it into the soil, so it helps to improve the soil nutrition naturally. Yeah, it's a very important element for plant growth is nitrogen. And these trees, these plants, help to increase the amount of nitrogen in the soil. It's a kind of key element for growing food forest. This is another coconut palm from Ecuador. It's only a baby, but when it grows up, it'll have little coconuts about this big. Yeah, have you seen the one at Rongo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kristen showed us, and it's very nice. You have two. One is already like with some, and the other one not yet.
Did you eat them?
No.
No, they're just like a coconut, but only smaller.
And do you think it's nice to mix varieties from different countries, or is better to find like more locally?
Oh, diversity.
So.
Yeah. I think growing as many. See, take macadamia for example. This is a macadamia nut tree, right? It's a native Australian plant. Now in Australia they have a lot of insects that eat these, so they grow much better in Hawaii than Australia because that insect doesn't exist there, so they don't have the insect problem. Same here, we can grow macadamia nuts without any insect problem at all.
So as long as they can grow, because they can find the climate is good for them to grow, it's fine to plant anything you think.
I think so, yeah. I'm very much into diversity and making as many or growing as many different fruit crops as well. Here in Karamea, the climate is very changeable. So we have, I've been here now 15 years, and every season it's been quite different. The weather's been quite different. So for example, we might have a very dry summer one year and a very wet summer the next year. So what we do is we plant all sorts of different plants, and in any given year, some of those plants are going to grow very well and others not, and the following year might be different. So permaculture is like a bit of a hedge against crop failure, because it's sort of, the plants understand, you know, the weather better than us. So if we plant a whole lot of different crops, some of them are really going to go well and some of them not so well, because of that particular year's climate pattern. So yeah, diversity is important in permaculture, I think. So this is organic. So what happened here is we had a very dry November, and the fruit size shrunk because there wasn't enough moisture, and then we had a big rain, and then it swelled again and cracked some of them. So yeah, don't eat this bit, but eat this bit.
Let's see if it breaks, so we can share.
That's good?
It tastes like a real peach, I promise you. You cannot feel it, but I feel it. If you want to try, I just bite one side.
Must be more here somewhere.
Have you ever tried to use the seed, this kind of seed like peaches, apricot, plum, to grow another tree? It's
yes.
the way we should do, or it's better to have a plant where you cut like a branch and then it grows?
Propagate. Yeah, both okay, but if you grow from seed, it tends not to fruit for some time. So it's actually better to have a rootstock and then graft a fruiting variety onto it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the plants I saw, especially fruits tree, they are grafted.
Yeah.
All of them, or you can find also plants that are not grafted.
Oh, plants that are not grafted. They take longer to come into fruit, but they do fruit, but it just takes longer. Avocado, for example, if you grow an avocado from seed, which we've done many times, they take maybe 12 years or 12 or so years before they start to fruit. But if you're a grafted variety, we're using the rootstock and then graft on another fruiting variety onto it, then you'll get fruit in just a couple of years. So
Okay.
yeah, it's better.
Very different. Do you prune your fruits tree?
Yes, a little bit. We do very minimal pruning. So we're doing like, what do we call it? The 3Ds. 3Ds, sorry, the post.
They move.
Oh, sorry,
no
I
worries.
kicked you. 3D, so dead, diseased and damaged, we remove it. So we're not pruning the fruit trees like a traditional orchard would do. We're just allowing it to be as natural as possible, but we do remove dead wood, diseased wood and damaged wood.
Okay.
Those three things we remove, and so we're minimal pruning, yeah.
And do you prune in any specific period of the year, or
Winter,
winter?
when the trees are dormant.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll see some nuts over here.
These are chestnuts.
Hazelnuts.
Hazelnuts, sorry. My
Hazelnuts,
region is
yeah.
very famous for hazelnuts.
Sure.
So we have Tonda Gentile delle Langhe. But these are very big, double the size of our. Are these planted or they are wild plants?
Both. This is dock. Has a deep taproot. It's very good for cycling that nutrition back around. This is comfrey. Comfrey, which we use because it also has a deep root system. And comfrey is very good at extracting phosphorus from the soil. So yeah, it's a good fertilizing plant. So we just keep it for. You can also eat it, but we keep it in the food forest here to help cycling the nutrition around. It's also when we mow it, it rots down very beautifully and creates a nice black soil.
So do you cut the grass before flowering?
No.
Or
Actually, I want the seed to drop into the soil so we're growing more. After flowering.
after flowering?
This was a plum tree, and we had so many plums this year from this one tree. And it's finished now, but yeah, it's really exciting because it's starting to, the food forest is starting to produce fruit. This is really exciting. We have this is macadamias here. Not a lot. You see they're starting to grow there.
Yeah.
This is the macadamia. So they'll grow into nuts about this big, and they'll be ready in about 1 month, 6 weeks, something like that. So we're having walnuts, macadamias, hazelnuts, plums. There's olives here. Olives as well. We're trying olives.
I found the extra virgin olive oil in Kaikoura.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was made there.
Yeah. Last year we had a lot of olives. This year, not so many. So the tree's looking healthy. So I'm hopeful that we can produce olives here because we love olives.
If you start a food forest, to be able to have all these kind of varieties in the ground, do you work the land and you plant like clover and these kind of things, or is more like naturally the beginning?
We did plant a lot of clover, and we certainly planted these trees. And each tree we put into its own hole with compost and to get them started. But once they're growing, we leave them to their own devices and just let nature do the work. But yeah, I mean, if for an example would be here, right? So this apple tree fell over, so it blew over. So we're just helping it a little bit. So we're helping nature. But we tried to stand it back up again and put a little stand on it so that the tree grows up again straight. Yeah. So the answer is we do both. We leave it to nature, but we also try to help. So the permaculture is working with nature, so can't let nature do everything. And we have citrus growing. It's very exciting to see, to think that 8 years ago there was nothing. And now there's almost a forest. And within another 8 years there'll be a huge forest, a canopy of fruit trees, and every season we'll have some kind of fruit available. For me, that's awesome. Very exciting. Yeah.
I can believe it. I hope we will be back in 5 years and we will be able to see the difference and enjoying it. As you see, there is a plantation of bamboo, and I'm very interested in that because in a couple of years, a lot of people from my region, they start to plant bamboo in a specific area. And then I start to be curious because I watch videos about the root of the bamboo can help to like preserve the land from flattering. But then I always, like even my friend is very into it, but he's scared because he said that if you plant bamboo, the root, you're not going to stop them anymore growing, and they're going to like cover everything, and you have to make a big hole about 60 centimeters deep and large for them not to move around. And I want to know from you what you feel about bamboo. And
good question. I've got a good answer.
Okay.
Now, let me show you something. So there are two kinds of bamboo, or there are in fact hundreds of kinds of bamboo, but some of them spread and some of them clump. They don't spread. So bamboo is actually in the grass family. It's actually a grass. So like grass, it sends its runners out, or the spreading bamboo sends runners out and pops up long. So this is a spreading bamboo. We don't want this bamboo to take off and take over the whole place. So what we've done is, I don't know if we can see. What we've done, I wonder if we can find it. We dug a hole about this deep, all around the bamboo, and then we've taken pieces of tin like this, and we've put it in the ground up to here, right, all the way around, so that when the bamboo's runners come out, they hit here and they can't go through.
Okay.
So that contains the bamboo into this area alone. So we use the bamboo a lot for, you know, making trellises and small building projects, or largely in the garden for tomato stakes and things like that. So it's very useful, but we don't want it to take over the whole place, and it will. It really aggressive plant. So we've contained it in this area by this method. It's worked really well. So if you want to contain your bamboo, I recommend doing this, because it's worked very well for us. We're lucky because the soil's very sandy. It's easy to dig a hole, and we had all this other material, so it was a way of recycling this as well, and or repurposing or reusing.
So when you plant a seed or a plant?
This was already here when we
Okay.
came, when we bought the property. It was just a few bamboos, but then it's taken off. We thought, oh, we better do something about that, so we made a ring around it, and just to contain it in this one area.
And it's very fast growing.
Fast growing. These will grow in 1 week. Get a panda.
That would be super cool because they're super cute.
Free it up a bit, and then we put that back around there like that, and that'll help to retain the moisture for the tree, and also rot down and feed the tree. So this is a job we must do this week, because there's a lot of grass growing up around the trees, but once we do that, it'll help to keep the soil moist, keep the weeds down, and also fertilize the tree. Yeah.
Che esperienza incredibile la Food Forest di Paul, non vedo l'ora di tornare in 5 anni per vedere com'è diventata, ma non abbiamo finito qui. Nel prossimo episodio si parlerà di palude e pecore, non vedo l'ora di presentarvi questo nuovo video. Come vi ho detto prima, se vi piacciono i nostri video e siete interessati alla permacultura o anche a Beethoven che pattina, potete iscrivervi sul nostro canale YouTube e anche lasciare dei commenti, perché vi risponderemo al più presto. Ragazzi, buona giornata e al prossimo episodio!